Hello everyone, today I want to show up all the cameras I have ever used in my lifetime, until now. Camera is a very special topic because it carries all the memories. It also shows the technology trend and the purpose, or say, the flow of our life. This is the first camera I have ever used. In fact, this camera has been used to take a lot of pictures when I was young, when I was like 5-6 years old, or even younger. Amazingly, it's also a Canon, if you can see. Yes, it's a Canon. Oh, Newton, stop! Stop biting! Stop biting my tripod! It's also a Canon. It takes 2 AA batteries. And the most interesting I like about this camera is it is a film camera. If you can see, it is actually a film camera. Yeah, let me pull in a little bit. The film gets winded here. Oh no, sorry. The film is placed here and then wind over through the sharp place and then go to here and get clipped on. So when we were shooting the photos, the film is rolling that way, and this is a smart camera at that time, because once you take all the pictures, the whole film runs out. It will automatically wind it back to seal it, so it will not cause exposure on the side, which is amazing. At that time though, the lens is protected by this protective shutter. And yeah, the lens is a very interesting lens. If you can see, the lens is actually a 35mm f4.5. Yeah, 35mm f4.5. Hey, you may say, what's the crop factor of this camera? Well, since it's a film camera and it takes film of 135mm, it's full frame. Yeah, this is a full frame camera. The big memory for me about this camera is when I was young. Obviously my hands are small, and this camera feels really sturdy and hefty and heavy. In my hand, it feels like an extremely delicate piece of machine which I need to be taken care of, but not ago. So it's already 20 years past. Feel it in my hand again. I feel, oh, it's plasticky, it's light, probably because batteries are not inside. And yeah, Newton, stop. This is my second camera, and yeah, that camera, the film camera, is actually belongs to my grandma and grandpa. Every time my family need to go for a travel, we need to ask my grandparents to borrow that camera. And when I was in junior high school, we bought this camera. The point and shoot, I do believe it's a point and shoot, today people call it. It's called the Canon XS210. I do believe this is the version they use in Europe and China. In United States, they have the PowerShot name on it. 14.1 megapixels, so quite good. A whopping 8 gigabytes of memory card inside. At that time, it's a lot already. One amazing thing for this camera at that time is this camera is actually controlled by a full touchscreen. For that year of 2010 in China, yeah, it's quite an advanced piece of machine. Again, it's small. It's very small and light. But it feels like the build quality of this Canon is way better than this Canon. for somehow. And you can see the size difference. If you want to see the size difference, let's make a comparison. Yeah, this is a size difference. Look at the thickness. Look at the thickness. Yeah. Also have a flash, but it no longer have a viewfinder because at that moment people think, hey, you have the LCD screen for the digital camera, why do you need another separate viewfinder, right? And to be honest, I'm more get used to cameras like this since I was born as a millennial. Handling this digital stuff, use touch, drag, use mouse and keyboard is way better than use this old optical stuff. It's a camera which has the video mode, and it can shoot up to 720p 30 frames per second, which is an amazing camera. This camera have a 4.3 to 21.5 millimeter lens with an aperture of 2.8 to 5.9. And most important, it's an IS, so image stabilized lens. Optical image stabilization has already been used in such a camera. At that time, I don't know where the cameras in our cell phone were using optical image stabilization though. The sensor in this camera is actually a 1/2.3 inch sensor, so it is extremely small. So when I talk about the focal length of 4.3 to 21.5 on this camera, it has an equivalent focal length from 28mm up. So it's quite capable, and to be honest, 28mm equivalent at the time for these small consumer level digital cameras. We're thinking about very wide angle now. And this obviously is a zoom lens. So I can zoom in and zoom out. The battery has long died, and the battery won't even be able to charge. This camera have a mini HDMI port on it, but my M50 have a micro HDMI, and I don't understand why. They can fit a mini HDMI onto this small camera. They cannot fit a mini HDMI onto my M50. What? This camera has accompanied with me for around 3 years, no, more than 3 years. This camera uses a Digic 4 processor. So at that time it's quite advanced. Digic 4 processor support 4 touchscreen. That boils down to the third camera I'm using, the Sony RX100 Mark IV. This camera is not my camera, it is actually my roommate's camera. It's heavy. It's way heavier than this one and this one. It's way heavier. Still small battery, but the card is already something like a 64GB card compared with 8GB in this one. It has an electronic viewfinder. Yes, you see, I didn't use DSLR before, so I'm never get used to an optical viewfinder. I like electronic viewfinder way better, and I feel, to be honest, most people think the OVF is more nature and comfortable to look through. But as a millennial, as a person who get used to digital things, I feel EVF is some kind of realistic compared with OVF, where the picture you shot and what you see, what you find through the EVF or through the OVF is totally different world. Yeah, this camera has been used with me for an extended period of time for vlogging and field trips. Actually, most of the field trips you can see on my channel, including the IKEA tour and the wind farm hydro turbine tour, is all shot on this camera. That's the moment I start my YouTube channel. However, 2 flaws of it lead me to switch to my current camera, the Canon EOS M50. First, it does not have a mic input. No mic input means I need to record audios externally and sync them in post. The other thing is its focus and its control. The focus on the Sony RX100 Mark IV is actually contrast-based autofocus, so in my previous shots, some of them will be totally out of focus. And one thing I hate most is when I hold this onto my dash on my car and shoot outside. Sometimes the autofocus will switch the focus from the road outside onto my windshield, especially on rainy days, and it will never be able to pull back because it do not have a touch screen at all. I cannot control it. I think Canon is still more suitable for me as a camera. So that's why I finally switched to the Canon. It's currently shooting me, so I cannot pull it down. But this is one of the lens I bought for it. And this lens is actually a fixed focal length, 35mm f1.4 Sigma. All in all, these are all good cameras, and the cameras they have accompanied me for quite a long time. However, nothing can be compared with the current Canon I'm using. You may ask me what's the difference between these cameras and that? What's the biggest difference? As I feel, the biggest difference is that all these cameras are good cameras, but they are not always with me. Just like people said, the best camera is a camera always be with you. Same thing for you guys. If you like camera gears, if you use it, always bring it with you. Do not miss any moments in the important life. Thank you very much for tuning in, and as always, may the engineering mind be with you.